Today started just like every other day does. I woke up, I ate my Flintstone vitamins, then I was sitting on the porch drinking my coffee, and this morning I was thinking about just how impressed I was by Drawley and the form that he was able to find. And Zen, for what it's worth, also had an incredible event. These two players battling for the best in the world. And the thing that really stood out to me is just how young they both are. And young athletes in gaming is not this new phenomenon. I actually was thinking about, back in college, I had written one of these papers and I was talking about this psychological concept regarding Olympic athletes and basically what this claim was, this idea, what it was arguing is that in some sports where athletes trend younger than most, think like figure skating or gymnastics at the Olympics, there's actually a psychological advantage to being younger than the people that you're playing against, especially at the Olympics. This thing that you only get, one, maybe a couple shots at in your life to do. And this is like your primary thing. You know what I mean? And there's a benefit of in having less lived experience, you don't understand the full scope and the pressure of this like adults would. And I promise I'm going to tie this back to Rocket League in just a moment here, but that fear, that self-doubt that can come with age hasn't manifested yet for some of these, like 14-year-old gymnasts or whatever. And young players show up and dominate, right? Zen shows up, drops a perfect season as soon as he's eligible to play, barring, the suspension. And then Drawley shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, what is happening? And I was going through the list, it had made the rounds beforehand, the oldest and youngest players. And of the youngest players, Drawley, Zen, Swift and Diaz, the twins, of course, Ross and Colliers, Stizzy, Nalpo, even a player like Sphinx with Luminosity who ended up throwing 5. Just these young players show up at these lands, and when you think about it with like traditional sports where it's like, oh, well, the young players can't do what these guys do. It's like, well, yeah, because there's like, wow, what a cut by First Killer that was. There's these physical pieces of it that they can't quite do just yet. Like Zachary Risache, the number 1 pick from the NBA last season, he's not going to show up and be the best player in the world right away or one of the best in the world, an all-star, because his body isn't, formed yet to a point where he can contend against a LeBron James. But there's nothing stopping Drawley from getting a huge 50 dunk on a player like Torsas, who has been around forever, if you know what I mean. And it was bringing me to what I thought was one of the most important, one of the things that resonated with me most from this major, which is something that was said by the man that we've been watching for the first half of this video, First Killer Point of View. He had said after they had beaten NRG on Championship Sunday, Veracity asked him on stage, like, how did you do this? How did you calm down in this big moment against a team who has essentially had your number all season? And he basically said, like, I took a deep breath and I realized that this is the game I play every day. So I just got to chill and like, it's going to go well. And I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but that mental clarity from a player like First Killer, who has this long resume with weight and scar tissue and baggage that comes from, his inability to, the Fourth Killer moniker, the big fault that he had on this exact field that we're watching him sink Vitality here on in Neo Tokyo when he was a member of FaZe back in the day. He was able to overcome those things with that mental clarity. And in talking about some of these young players and that expectation, I talked about 4 big takeaways in my video from yesterday, and that mentality was just a huge piece of it. I mean, we talked about Torsas a second ago and how old he is relative to the scene. And, you look at that series against Luminosity where it's basically like, they're supposed to win this series. They're a wild card and they're going up against Luminosity. And I know that this video has kind of fractured and splintered into some scattered thoughts here, but just to tie a bow on it here with 30 seconds left, it's crazy that so many of these matchups seem like they're almost decided before we even get onto the pitch. And to bring it all the way back to where we started, S First Killer is going to put this series away with a huge steal. I can't believe that they tried to go for that pass right there. Drolly and Carmine Core being able to run over the field in the way that they did, with them being the clear favorites from the best region, with all of the pressure from everyone and themselves included to win this, to be able not only to do what you were supposed to, but to sweep out the semifinals and the grand finals against a First Killer and Ultimates who not only had found their form, but had found that mental clarity, is something that they should be really, really impressed by. And we're getting into overtime here for a second. I just wanted to say, guys, we finally hit 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. We did it. This has been my goal since I was 3 months old. No, but all jokes aside, the subscribers are cool and everything. I also am appreciative of everybody who has been so kind as First Killer. Oh my goodness, 8 saves, almost 1,000 points to close out Vitality. First Killer, what'd you have for breakfast, man? Maybe not the Flintstone vitamins and coffee that I was going for, but jokes aside, thank you guys for consistently showing up to check out the content that I'm putting out. I feel like we're hitting a good stride, me talking to myself with, putting out stuff that I am proud of and not stepping on myself or overthinking things and, killing ideas before they reach you guys. Making the content and sharing the content has been a really positive experience. And the fact that you guys like it is just the cherry on top. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for giving me time out of your day. We got some big interviews coming up with people from the major here soon. Be tuned for that. Follow, subscribe, turn on notifications. Can you even say that anymore? That's like 7 years ago, YouTube. But as always, guys, thanks so much for taking time out of your day. And until next time, guys, take it easy.